Ganta Igarashi is in class with his friends Mimi and Yamakatsu, talking about a field trip they are to take soon, until a man wearing red appears outside a window. As soon as the class seems to get startled, the man blasts a large sonic boom, impacting the class and killing all the students. Unfortunately, Ganta survives the massacre and wakes up to see the gruesome death that has befallen his friends. He's immediately spotted by the red man while he faintly calls out to Mimi. The red man walks up to him and hits him on the chest, implanting a red crystal piece that glows brightly, making him pass out. He wakes up at the hospital and gets confronted by the police before he can even believe he survived. They take him in for questioning, and he tries to prove he's innocent by showing them the place the red man hit him when he shoved the crystal into his chest. But there is no trace of any trauma on his chest. A man appears and offers him his assistance and becomes his lawyer, till he finds himself standing trial in front of a judge in the court of law. He is found guilty of mass murdering his fellow classmates and gets sentenced to death row. Before he goes sent to the prison, he resists and tries to run away but is quickly caught by Mimi's father and other parents who batter him until his phone falls out of his pocket. The phone instantly plays a video of him telling someone that he did kill the students and that he believes he will walk free, incriminating him even further. His lawyer appears and pretends that it's all good even when Ganta keeps yelling that that video is fake, revealing that the lawyer may have had a hand in this. He then gets sent to the prison where he meets Chief Warder, Makina. She also explains they got a collar around their neck that works as an ID device, stun device, and GPS tracker. While going to his room, he bumps into Yo, an inmate whom he later shares a room with. Makina cuts Yo on the chest during an altercation which leaves Ganta afraid for his life. He continues with his activities outside when a girl in white appears and starts to attack him with a rod. But she soon stops when she touches him on the chest, claiming to have read his heart, and knows he didn't kill his friends. 3 other inmates come and try to bully him. The girl in white, whose name is Shiro, defends him but easily gets pushed to the side by the bullies. They start beating Ganta up until a large object on top of a tall structure explodes and comes crashing down on them. Ganta, seeing the object falling, vows to not die there before finding the red man, causing the crystal that was implanted in his chest to glow as his blood spews out of his open wounds and surround him like strings. The objects get cut into pieces which fall to the sides where the bullies were, killing them and sparing Ganta and Shiro. He then gets to the hospital where he meets Yo again, who has been admitted due to the cut from Makina. Shiro appears and asks Ganta to enter a dog race with him. Yo explains to him that a dog race is a deadly race performed by the prisoners for the public for prizes such as cast points and life-saving candy, which literally saves the prisoners' lives from poison. And every 3 days, a prisoner has to eat a candy that will neutralize the poison. He enters the race with Shiro. The first course is a run through an obstacle of swinging slicers which can kill you if you aren't careful. He immediately realizes how extremely messed up the prison is, with audiences watching and cheering on and seemingly unbothered by the inmates' deaths. They manage to make it through to the final round without dying. They face Kazumasa, a guy who had picked on Ganta in the locker rooms earlier. In the final course, they have to run on tiles that fall off whenever while holding onto a ball. Kazumasa falls off into the pit underneath, which has spikes, killing him instantly, leaving Shiro and Ganta as the winners. But Shiro falls off and throws the ball to him to make him the winner, but he doesn't catch the ball. Instead, he runs to grab Shiro before she gets stabbed by the spikes in the pit. They lose the game. Ganta in his room realizes that he gets no candy since he lost the game. He writes letters to his friends' parents apologizing and reiterating that he didn't kill them while contemplating his own death. Yo comes in and gives him candy, because when they first bumped into each other, his candy fell out of his bag and Yo told him that it was his fault, sparing his life for another 3 days. Yo invites him out for ice cream because the candy is unpleasant, when he suddenly gets a sharp pain in the chest where the crystal is. The crystal glows very brightly, and when Ganta turns to look at the clock, he sees the red man. The red man creates a tornado that destroys everything in its way and swallows people into it, including Yo. Ganta gets mad seeing the killer of his friends and the person who had him framed. He activates the ability he now has. His blood spews from his wounds and surrounds him, all stringy, and he throws a shot at the red man. He hits him on the head and the red man retreats immediately into the clock and disappears into the building. He gets taken to the hospital where he overhears some other inmates mentioning knowing the red man and where he lives. He quickly discharges himself and begins to run around looking for the area, G Block, where the red man lives. He takes Shiro with him when the hospital is placed on lockdown. Yo appears and tells him to surrender, but Ganta tells him that he's looking for G Block, which Yo tells him it doesn't exist while showing him the prison's floor map. Shiro says that she knows where the block is and they ask to get taken there as a killing robot sent to kill Ganta arrives. They beg Shiro to help save them before the robot kills Ganta. She finally helps them get through a vent system and escape as the robot blasts the place. They find G-Block, and as they try to figure out how to get into it, the robot finds them again. Shiro destroys it, but it gets back up and targets her instead. Ganta, seeing his friend as the target of death, tries to use his blood to defend her, but he's left disappointed when nothing happens. Yet, blood strings similar to the ones he uses suddenly appear and break the wall, which blows up the robot, saving Shiro's life. When Ganta recognizes the technique, he takes the man who appeared out of the G-Block room as the Red Man and charges at him, ready to fight to the death. The man cuts his fingers, from which he manipulates the blood coming out as a weapon to cut Ganta with, a technique called Branch of Sin, Crow Claw. Ganta grabs a steel bar from the ground and runs to the man. The man cuts the bar easily and tells him to quickly use his Branch of Sin. Ganta gets the message and uses the blood from his injured hand and shoots an attack at the guy, which cuts one of his blood claws and almost sends him flying. The guy introduces himself as Senji, and when Ganta asks any further, he tells him that Branch of Sin is used by other people as well, and they are called Deadmen, which is why G-Block exists. Senji charges at him with his claw, but Shiro quickly runs up to him and jumps on his face, defending Ganta. Gun suddenly shoots some tranquilizers at them. When he wakes up, he's strapped down on a dissection table where he meets Tamaki, his lawyer, realizing that the guy has been toying with him the whole time. He finds out the truth from Tamaki, who shows Ganta a picture of him and Senji for a match called the Carnival Corpse, where they'll fight to the death or until one person loses. He promises him that he may go head-to-head with the Red Man if he wins the match against Senji, and can also win cast points and candies to save his life. Tamaki forces him to watch what a carnival corpse looks like over and over, which traumatizes him for life. Senji versus Ganta, they both come out and face each other. As soon as the match starts, Senji gets ready with his claws while Ganta runs to climb up a fake tree that's placed inside the ring. He starts shooting at Senji with attacks that Senji easily defends from. Soon, Senji tells him that he needs to keep in mind that he needs his blood to stay alive, even when he has increased the distance between them. Ganta starts to get cold and a little dizzy, and starts to rely on the tree for balance. Senji cuts up the tree, Ganta falls down, and Senji cuts him up with his technique. Ganta suddenly remembers Shiro from a childhood memory and gets back up using Senji as a balancing tool. Ganta gets ready to continue fighting. He shoots his projectile at an object above, causing it to fall on Senji. When Senji is distracted by the object coming down, Ganta impacts him on the chest with his shot, causing him to fly to a distance, defeating him. He wins the match, and Senji takes an L, which means he gets a penalty spin. Ganta sees the penalty spin, which is broadcasted live for all to see. The loser gets to lose a part of their body. The spinning machine lands on the right eye. Senji then loses his right eye, which causes even greater trauma for Ganta. Soon enough, he seems a little fine but unable to eat his food. He gives it to a prisoner who wants to eat Minatsuki's flowers, a girl who is also a prisoner at Deadman Wonderland, saving her flowers just like that. They quickly go to her room to hide from the prisoner. Ganta tells her that they should escape from the prison together, and she agrees. They run through a corridor trying to make it out of the prison, but are soon spotted by the guards there. The guards reveal that Minatsuki and Ganta will be up against each other at the next Carnival Corpse match. The match soon begins, and Ganta is against Minatsuki, whose personality completely changes from demure to freaking crazy in a second. She mocks Ganta for falling for her tricks and thinking he could help. Ganta gets angry and throws a projectile her way first, but Yo calls out to him immediately from outside the ring, telling him that Minatsuki is his little sister. The guards come to get him out of there, but Tamaki tells him that they should let him in for more drama to please the audience watching. Minatsuki instantly switches her personality to the good girl in front of her brother, but when she turns around to face away from him, she goes back to her crazy self. She hits Ganta with her blood skills and pretends it was a mistake. She then runs up to him to tell him to keep quiet about her lies. She quickly heads to Yo, and when Ganta wants to throw a shot her way, Yo shields her. Yo then realizes the whole truth. She's the reason why he got there. She set him up, pretending to be abused by her father. Yo saw her in a vulnerable state and killed his father to protect her. But he wasn't the real killer. She is the twisted one who planned it to be like that. She begins to show him her true colors and calls him a virgin for caring about her. She tells him and Ganta that she will need to hurt one of them to get off, leaving Yo shocked to the moon and back. She uses her blood and grabs her brother in an attempt to hurt him, but Ganta tries to shoot at her with a projectile, and she shields herself with Yo. She holds him up in the air and hits him with her blood strings, throwing him to the ground after. Ganta tells her to stop hurting her own brother, but she instead rats on him about how he stole his candy on purpose the first time they met. Ganta doesn't give in to her nonsense. He tells her Yo did it for her. Minatsuki produces another flow of blood to hit Ganta into a pole while insulting both him and her brother. Ganta gets up and continues to fight her, but all she does is use Yo as her shield when Ganta shoots at her, while ranting about her mother who abandoned her for a flower vase during an earthquake. Minatsuki leaves herself wide open, and Ganta gets a chance to hit her on the neck, causing her to let go of Yo. She recovers and restrains his hands, but he walks up to her while telling her exactly how terrible she is and then butt-heads her, defeating her. Ganta goes to see Yo and her unconscious sister after the fight to apologize for fighting her. The place suddenly starts shaking like there's an earthquake, causing the place to vigorously throw things at the three. Yo protects his sister as he has done before because he's her big brother despite her not caring too much. Ganta has a flashback to a memory, where he remembers a song he heard before and remembers Shiro much more clearly. On the other hand, Shiro, with a different calm personality, talks to a disembedded head on the floor of a dark corridor. She removes a mask and a red cloak from a dummy and wears them herself, revealing a smile similar to the one the